Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the People's Table. I'm your host, Jack Wehby. I'm the founder of Honky Tonk Brush Washing. Today, I'm joined by Griffin Hiley, the founder of 615 Parking. Griffin, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Jack.
All right, let's just get straight into it. So, Griffin, I bet we have a lot of high school peers watching us right now who don't know that we had beef and everything. But I want to get into that later. I want to first get into what you're doing right now, who you are, and what you're striving to. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Right now I would describe myself as in progress. I'm kind of between 615 Parking and starting another business this summer. Mm-hmm. But I'm a student at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. I have a research job there. Mm-hmm. I'm just staying really busy, honestly.
That's cool. And you said that you're starting a new business. Is that the marketing thing I saw on your page?
Well, so I was wanting the Griffin Ventures, like the whole marketing thing that I'm starting to kind of be an overarching term for like 615 Parking, or if I start 865 Parking in Knoxville like this next summer. It could be anything that I want it to become, especially if I turn any of these automotive kind of communities into something that actually produces or manufactures parts. I want it to just be there and be ready.
That's incredibly ambitious, Griffin. And I'm just wondering, with all that on your plate, from being a student at Knoxville and going into engineering, which is extremely difficult, managing 615 Parking, and then also trying to do that Griffin Ventures thing, how are you managing that with your time and your energy? Is it a challenge, and how are you managing that?
Honestly, it's just having good people around me. Shout out to Tobias Patterson. He's been running 615 Parking for the past about, I think, year and a half now. So he's been doing a fantastic job. But having people, being friends with people in my classes that I can, study with or do homework with, it's just knowing people to keep kind of everything balanced. Because it's hard to kind of if I was alone or isolated while doing all of the work that I am doing, it would get really intense really fast.
Definitely. Do you think that's important if you're such a young, ambitious person? Do you think for anyone like that, it's important to surround yourself with positive people and positive influences?
Absolutely. I'm a total firm believer. You are the culmination of the 5 people you surround yourself with the most. So.
I believe that too, and a big reason how I started Honky Tonk Pressure Washing was Wilson, and I know that you know Wilson too. Wilson had Honky Tonk Junk Removal, and I found out that I was going to be a father, and I didn't know really what to do, and Wilson was like, why don't you start a home service business? And I got into pressure washing, and Wilson helped me run my ads. And I'm definitely a firm believer also that the people you surround yourself with is going to be the result of who you are. And I think that's really important. But being in Knoxville and also being in Nashville with your 615 Parking stuff, what are you mostly spending your time on every day? Is it 615 Parking? Is it focusing on Knoxville? What takes up the majority of your time?
Right now, as I'm home over Christmas break, it's mostly I'm just hanging out with all of my hometown friends, and it's always 615 Parking when I'm back home. No matter if I'm here for a day or a weekend during the semester, I always love to look back into the car community back here in Nashville. But at school, it is extremely busy. I got a record player for my birthday this year. I've spent a lot of time just sitting in my apartment listening to new records, especially since my roommates, they love the record player. They're buying records every day. And it's basically just school and sitting in my apartment with my roommates.
That's cool. And is there anything that surprised you about being in college and coming to college? Did you mainly want to socialize and party, or were you mainly focused on academics? And was there anything that surprised you about any of that stuff?
I was definitely trying to get out there and party. I think anyone who's first a freshman in college, that's the main thing that they're looking for. But the main thing for me was how there's no one telling you to get up and go to class in the morning. So if you're sick, who cares if you email your professor? If it's a 400-person lecture, no one is there to look out for you. It's all you. So you either do it or you don't,
So you think that, any young man who's in college, do you think that the only person that's holding themselves accountable is themselves?
Absolutely.
I think that that's something that a lot of young men at our age need to learn, is just to hold themselves accountable to whatever they believe in. If you want to go and party and be someone popular in college, that's okay. It's okay to explore that and, try to explore what that would be like to be popular. But if you do want to go and be an academic weapon and, be really smart, you have to hold yourself accountable to that. And, I'm not going to be that type of person that's you have to be super successful in life. I think it's important to do what makes you happy while also contributing to society. And, it's just whatever you want to do, hold yourself accountable and achieve your goals that way. But I've known you for a long time, Griffin, and you hold yourself accountable all the time. And, ever since I met you, you've been super ambitious. And I'm just wondering, have you always been this ambitious, or has there been a single moment that made you be like, I gotta lock in?
I mean, I've always just been. My parents always describe me as creative, to the point where I'm like 3 years old. My mom is making me go get hangers from upstairs or something, and I'm coming down like I have all the hangers dangling from each other. They're just like, no kid is just constantly trying to create something, or I don't know. Not to like brag on myself, but I think I've always just been that way. It's always been like I've had this expectation that I will be this, I will be that, not that. Like I've always had this perspective of myself that it's only a matter of time until like I am successful, because I've always held myself to such a high standard.
And you perceive yourself as a very smart person, I assume, right?
I mean, yeah, I guess so.
And I don't ask that to say that that's a bad thing, because I'm the same way myself. How do you balance having that perspective of you being smart with also trying to be humble and down to earth with people? How do you balance that?
It's more of like a balance between ambition and patience, where you're kind of where I want to do this, I want to start this, I want to start this business, I have all these ideas, but I really only have so much time. And especially right now while I'm in school and I'm doing a double major in engineering and Japanese and a minor in material science and the research job, it's so hectic.
Do you feel like your life is chaotic sometimes?
Absolutely. There's some days where I wake up and I'm like, oh crap, I had 2 assignments due last night, and it takes a toll on my grade, but it's just what had to happen.
How do you push forward in life knowing that sometimes you're going to fail, sometimes things are going to be chaotic? How do you push forward and keep your mentality?
Life is only ups and downs. Isn't that a Megan Maroney song?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, and I agree. And especially with what I do, Griffin, being in pressure washing in the home service business, there's some days I'll get underbid by some like illegal immigrant when I'm quoting like $1,000 for a job that is actually $1,000 and will take me a lot of time to do and a lot of labor that I need to hire. I'll get underbid by an illegal immigrant who has no insurance, they have no documentation or something like that, and they'll underbid me by $500 and I'll lose the job, and that stuff hurts. But just like you said, life is up and down, and it's important to be grounded in your identity and who you are, and I feel like that's something that me and you both do really well. And I want to start talking about 615 parking, because this is something I've been fascinated about.
Okay.
How did it start? Let's start with that.
Well, honestly, it started because I had a friend that moved away in the middle of the summer, and I had just a lot of free time, and I was wondering, like, what could I get started up? Me and my brother, we were watching Fast and Furious movies at night, and it was a really cool summer. I was driving around in my car. I had just gotten like my wheels done, like, because me and my family, my dad and my brother specifically, we've always been into like riding motocross. We've always been into going to car shows, like Cars and Coffee in Franklin. It's always been an interest of mine. And after seeing Keller Moore, he like got arrested for doing a bunch of meets at Nissan Stadium without any permission. I saw an opportunity to really get into the car scene and start hosting meets, because especially in Bellevue, there were no car meets. There were, if you wanted to go to any type of event, you had Cars and Coffee in Franklin, which was that way, and that was a 30-minute drive from here. And then they moved all the way up to Lebanon and Nashville Super Speedway. Nashville Cars and Coffee is in Lebanon. It's over an hour and 10 minutes away. So I was like, there is a strong need for like just a community here. So I started it, and even the first car meet that we hosted, it ended up getting about 20 to 25 people showing up over the course of 2 hours.
That's very impressive.
It was really impressive. Yeah.
Were you ever worried about competition? Like, were you ever worried someone could start a car meet better than mine or something like that? Really?
Absolutely. But I've been told countless times by like everyone that I know that when I'm writing these posts, you can so much as find like a spelling mistake in them. Everyone just said that these are like the most professional like looking, like the page itself just looks like a business page, whereas most people who run a car community or a car group, it doesn't look very like appealing, you know.
Did anyone help you with the formatting of your page and making it look that professional? Or did you figure
it was all me. I've been doing graphic design for a long time. I love making stuff. I have a old YouTube channel with over 500 privated videos, so I had the editing experience I needed.
I remember you showing me that when I would always come over to your house. That was really cool. Yeah, you have had a lot of experience with that, and you know, I feel like that's the real edge you had over your competition. I think that a lot of like young people who want to be entrepreneurs, they're always worried about competition. They're worried about like, this person could be better than me, or why would someone buy my product, or you know, book with me if they have 155-star reviews and they're already established.
I'll just interject, everyone is looking to any sort of market or any business that you can start, and they're like, oh, the market is completely oversaturated already. They just don't even think that they have a chance to start.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's the major sentiment over a lot of people that want to start businesses. And, you know, me and you were both successful people that have started businesses. And I think that my take on it, and I would want to hear from you, my take on it is you can't worry about that stuff. You can only worry about what you can control. And when I was starting pressure washing, I just thought to myself, like, I don't care what everyone else is doing. I'm going to be the best. I'm going to have the best clean houses, the cleanest driveways, and I'm young, and I'm going to make the best ads.
Yeah.
And, you know, it doesn't matter if Wetworks Pressure Washing, I'm sorry, Wetworks, if you're watching this. I don't care if Wetworks Pressure Washing has 50 trucks and they're booking 200 jobs a day. There's such a big opportunity for anyone in America to just start something, and you know, I feel like that's something a lot of young people need to hear. But what's your take on that?
On like just the market saturation?
Yeah, on people thinking that competition is important.
There is always something you can do differently. There's always something you can improve.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah,
and you know, if you're willing to adapt and improve on just the small things, and like you said, there's always something you can do different, then I think that you're going to be successful. And if you're innovative and creative, then I think you can definitely make it. And so let's get back to 615 parking. The kind of coming up and getting more popular and more successful, did you feel at times like you were invincible, and did you feel like you were the shit and you had a huge ego, and like, did that affect how you treated other people? Because I had my own personal experience with that, but I want to hear from you.
Honestly, not really. For the first good bit that we were running 615 parking, because of like people who had previously run car meets and they did it a different way than we did, and they have been like arrested or been charged with like inciting riots because they didn't get the proper permission from property owners or stuff like that. We just kind of kept our identities like laid back from 615 parking. It wasn't really associated with Griffin Hiley or with Tobias Patterson or anything like that, but people who came to the car meets knew, like, they knew us, because anyone who went to the page and knew, anyone who went to our car meets and they knew our page, they see us constantly, because we walk up to every single person. We're like, thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate you being here. Like, we just know, like, you are the people who make up this meet. And for the first 10-15 meets that we hosted, which is 10 to 15 months, we would greet every single person that came to our car meet. And it really like created this community where no matter what car meet we go to, someone would be like, yo, that's Griffin, that's 615 parking right there. And it wasn't whereas I was like, hey everybody, I'm 615 parking. They just knew me because I was like, thank you for being here.
I really like how you integrated yourself and your public identity with 615 parking, because you weren't immediately taking the fame and putting your face all over 615 parking. You were more subtly going up to people personally and saying thank you for coming, and that's super touching on who you are as a person, because you know, it would be easy for you to be like, I'm 615 parking, you know, I've got this big page, I'm super successful, look how good I am. But you didn't. You were more subtle about it, and you were more personal about it. And I think that's really good, and that's something that I kind of regret doing. When I first got my big break with Honky Tonk Pressure Washing, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of want everyone to know about it. I kind of want.
I mean, it does. You definitely do. Don't get me wrong. Like, you definitely want that attention, but.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like that kind of. It made my ego a lot bigger than it used to be, and that's not a bad thing. But I kind of regret that, treating some people differently, and you know, especially with my parents. You know, I kind of was thinking like, I can do whatever I want with my parents because, you know, like, I'm making this much money, but that's not the case. I think that even with the success, you know, you still have to be the same person. But, you know, okay, back to 615 parking.
I would always reinvest that, like, as motivation toward my next meet. Whereas instead of, hey, everybody, look at me, I put this together, I'd be like, we have a really good thing going, let's do it again. And that was my thing. Like, right here. This was October 20th. This might have been like our third or fourth meet. And that was, I posted a video or a picture of me in front of my car in my Father Ryan uniform. And that was the only time where I had put my face on something. And after I did that, I was just like, I don't really like want that. I don't want like to turn this into a Griffin Hiley or like 615 parking by Griffin Hiley type of thing.
That's really interesting, Griffin. I always, when we used to be really good friends, I kind of thought that you would want all the fame and stuff like that. And it's really interesting to hear that you're not really interested in having it all be about you, and it's more about the parking community in itself, and that's really selfless of you, and I really admire that.
Thanks, man.
And like you said that moment you kind of figured out, I don't want this to be about me. I want this to be about what I built.
Yeah, because I mean, it definitely feels good to be like called out in public, like, "Hey, you, I know you," but that was never the point for me. I mean, I just watching Fast and Furious movies. Like anyone who likes Fast and Furious, if you could just go to a night like that. That's all we wanted.
That's really cool. You kind of had that vision in your mind, and you did you really see it all come to fruition one day? Was there a single moment where you were like, I made it. This is exactly what I wanted.
The ice meet. The one when we were shoveling all the snow and the ice out. I think it was December. It was like 2 months after that meet. Everyone was so excited. It had gotten the most likes it had ever got, and it comes the day of or the day before, and like all of the roads are like straight ice. Like everything is shut down. It's just too cold to even stand outside. And we post rain or shine. And then in the morning, we post a video of me, my brother, and like our OG first meet attendees shoveling out the parking lot. And even then, we didn't think many people would come out. But we had just announced a tournament where we were doing, I think this might have actually been January, but we had announced a tournament, like upload your car, upload your modifications, send us pictures, everything. We'll do a little bracket. Everyone just vote on our stories. And it became very interactive. And during that time, after all these tournament posts, you put a picture of our, like, the dedication that we're putting into it and us shoveling out the parking lot. And that was the biggest meet that we had hosted up to that point.
I bet that was so rewarding to see all your hard work.
It was so awesome.
Something cool. Yeah, and, like, I think that's something that, I can think of philosophy that kind of you have, and, it's kind of subtle. And I have it too, but I think that you're willing to do whatever it takes to succeed. I think that you're willing to shovel snow when it's 30 degrees outside, or go up.
Try 17.
Yeah. Man, 17, that's crazy. And also go up, in person to every single person that came to the car meet and say thank you. Those are some, very hard actions, and that takes a lot of effort to do. What kind of got you into that mindset of, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to succeed? What kind of got you there?
I have, 615 parking is not the first page I've started, not the first, it's definitely the first car page I started. It's not the first business idea or thing that I've tried to do. I mean, I've had countless things fail before that, and when 615 parking came around, I made the page, I made a post a couple days later, and I just started sending the posts. I just followed car account, and I just kept on sending it to people, no matter who they were, where they lived, even if they lived out of state. And we had a good turnout for the first event. What was the specific question you asked me?
It was just more of that was a great answer, don't get me wrong, but I how did you know, how did you come to that mindset of, I'm going to do whatever it takes, I'm going to do stuff that's incredibly painful, takes a lot of effort, like shoveling snow. That's probably the biggest example.
It was just because it was the consistency of it. We had every single meet that I had hosted was on the third Saturday of every single month. And leading up to that, when your meet is we're about to break the tradition, it's going to be snowed out. It's like we have the most likes we've ever gotten, the most support we've ever gotten, and we just wanted to continue to do it. So it was more of the build up in the community that was already there that we didn't want to disappoint.
Yeah, and kind of when you see that momentum, did it kind of push you to be like, this is working, let me do more? Is that kind of what you thought?
Yeah, and then I think it might have been January when that was the snowy meet, because I don't think we've ever had a white winter here or a white Christmas here in Tennessee.
I don't think so either.
But the next month after that, I couldn't find a location, and it was 3 weeks before, and I'm like, this is huge now. We have to have official permission. We can't just host stuff in Bellevue anymore, in Bellevue 1 anymore. It's getting out of hand. We can't do this again. And I reached out to the baseball fields, and I was talking to Nick Koch, who was the president at the time. He still probably is president, but he gave us permission to use that lot. And those 2 months right there, and the reels, like the videos that we got, the content that we got, the reels we posted, they just exploded. Like 200, 400,000 views on it.
What was it like waking up and looking at your phone and seeing all those notifications? What was it like?
It was just crazy, dude. Like it's to the point, like I still have notifications silenced on Instagram because it's just straight spam.
I bet, man. I remember when I was in high school and we weren't friends at this time. I was looking at your page. I was like, damn, he's really doing something. And you know, at that point, I was immature and I wasn't, you know, willing to admit that, you know, you were big shit. And you know, like I can't imagine just waking up and seeing, man, you're huge. You know, I think right now, what do you have, like 13,000 followers?
Yeah, we just hit 13.2 last night, or 2 days ago.
That's awesome, man. And you know, like, as a content creator myself with pressure washing, yeah, I don't get near as much attention as you do, but like it is so satisfying and it is somewhat addicting in a way to see like the likes and comments on your content.
The most satisfying part of it, we hit 1,000 followers on New Year's Eve.
Really?
So like I've always like I feel like I am best friends with the Instagram algorithm with this point. At this point, I know him really well, right? Literally, if you post every day or every other day, even like once a week, and you just keep it going, keep it consistent for 4 months, you will hit 1,000 followers by the 4-month mark.
How do you maintain the discipline to do that so often?
So there's a thing called content dumping where people go and they'll do like, I just had like two or three photo shoots in the past couple of days, right?
Yeah.
My brother once, no offense to you, Grant, if you're watching this, but he likes to post reels, like reel after reel after reel. My philosophy is you need to just slow down, be like balance your ambition with your patience, right? You have to be patient, schedule this one night, you have all these videos, schedule it over the next month, like one post per month. If you go and you get more content, fill in the gaps, and you will have all this content that's spread out instead of posting it all at one time, and now you've run out of stuff to post.
You know, Griffin, that's such a great strategy because I feel like a lot of people in our generation who do have the ambition to go out and be a content creator, they get ambition in bursts, and like they're like, I'm gonna do it right now, and then, you know, they'll make a video, but then they'll not make a video like a week later. And I think that what you said about, you know, content dumping and doing a photo shoot and planning that content for the week, that's super smart because you get it done, you get out of the way.
They give you the scheduling feature. It's there for a reason, you know?
Yeah, no, I've thought the same thing because, you know, I struggle with being consistent with my TikTok on honky tonk pressure washing. And, you know, I was thinking, like, what if I do like what you're saying and just do a bunch of content, you know, do some skits of me pressure washing, do some before and afters, do it all in one day, and then just plan it for the week. And, you know, that's something I've really struggled to do. And, you know, I don't want to make an excuse, but, you know, I am a father now and I have, you know, a family to take care of. That's not an excuse, but that it is something I struggle with. And I think that I can learn a lot from you and your content.
I mean, it's always, even if you post once a month, because you can see your followers. I don't know if you guys know, we can see exactly when all of you guys are viewing our Instagram content. We see the times that we have the most viewers. So you just time it right. Even if it's one time a month, everyone needs, like, your community needs to know when to check your page. Because if it's so sporadic, so irregular, you can't hold a community like that.
How important do you think it is to know the algorithm and not just be posting willy-nilly? Do you think that that's vital to success on Instagram and all this?
Absolutely. If you are sporadically posting, you're not going to get anywhere.
I agree. And, you know, I think a reason why my content hasn't been as successful is just because I haven't been as consistent as you have. And I think that, you know, I definitely believe that my content can be successful, but I need more structure like you have. And, you know, I'm willing to admit that.
It's definitely harder to reach out to people for pressure washing than for coming to a car show, though.
Yeah, I that's true too. But there's a lot of people in our generation who are probably thinking, why are these guys talking about social media so much? Why are these guys even doing social media? Like, what if I just stay mysterious and nonchalant my whole life and not do any social media? What do you have to say to those people who are thinking that way? Do you think that they're going to get left behind, or do you think that they're going to, you know, still be able to be successful?
I think there's a lot of, like, I don't know what the right word for it, but there's a lot of, like, independence or, like, integrity in someone who steers clear of social media. Like, I have a lot of respect for those people, but, like, if they were to try to, like, build a business or something, like, if we're talking business, like, it is not going to go well if you're trying to do if you're not going to have a social media presence.
Yeah, I agree that if you're going to start a business, if you're going to start something real, you have to be in social media. And social media is something super important for any type of business.
I just remembered. Like 615 parking, we did spread by Instagram, but the biggest thing is word of mouth. Like talking to people at car meets or other people like on the side of the street. Like my dad was next to a Lamborghini in Franklin, right? He pulls up at the stoplight, he rolls the window down, he's like, hey, have you heard of 615 parking? Like my son runs car meets and stuff, and he's like telling him all about it. He's like, wait, did you say 615 parking? And my dad's like, yeah. And he's like, I already follow them, man. It's just like, the word of mouth is great and it's awesome, but they have to have somewhere to look to. So if you don't have social media, where are they going to find all this stuff?
Right, and I think social media adds to the credibility. So let's take that story of your dad asking that guy about 615 parking in the parking lot in Franklin. Like, that's awesome, and like, word of mouth is super credible because you're hearing it from another human about your service, your business, whatever you have.
Especially nowadays with AI, like people just don't trust stuff online.
Right, yeah, and in-person stuff is super credible, but having somewhere to go, just like you said, having somewhere to look and see, is this person legit? What's their portfolio of content? What do they have actually that I can look at that's in the public eye? That's super important for credibility, just as much as word of mouth is good for credibility. I want to get more into what happened between us, and this segment of the episode is mainly meant for the people that are watching us that went to high school with us. I think we talked about 615 parking a decent amount, and I'm super happy that's going well.
I do want to say, shout out Lamont. You're the only one from Father Ryan who has showed up to my meets. So
really
awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Lamont, if you're watching this, I hope that you're really enjoying the episode. So, we used to be really good friends in high school, and at some point we kind of stopped being friends, and I take a lot of responsibility for the fallout that happened between us. So I want to hear from you and your perspective. What happened between us then?
I mean, honestly, Father Ryan, dude, it was just it was just the system being the system, man. I mean, I think Father Ryan was a really cliquey place, and I don't think anyone would really disagree with that. But
I agree. It was very cliquey, and that doesn't give me an excuse of what I did, to you, and I don't think I did anything extremely bad to you. I just I kind of dropped you, and you were such a good friend to me, and like, I think your single answer of Father Ryan really shows, and to all the viewers that are watching from Father Ryan, I think what we're talking about. It's very cliquey, and there's a lot of how do I say this? There's a lot of demand from the consensus. There's a lot of demand from the public eye of how you need to look, how you need to act. You need to be in a group. I think that was a big thing. You need to be in a group, and you need to have people surrounding you. And there were definitely outcasts in Father Ryan. I'm not going to name them personally because that would be wrong. But there were outcasts at Father Ryan that just didn't have a good group, and those people definitely didn't live their best high school lives. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of people. Like, I would always try my best to reach out to people, or just like say, hey, hello, what's up? Just ask them how their day's doing. I was never trying to single anybody out. That's
something that I regret doing. Is like, I regret not being as nice to people as you were, because you were, after I dropped you, you were kind of on your own. You were more individualistic, and you had your core friends. But you were mainly focused on yourself and what you were doing, and I admire that. And like you said, you wanted to reach out to people and not have people feel like an outcast, and that's something I regret doing. I was so focused on being popular. I was so focused on looking the coolest, and thinking that I was the shit and going to the parties and stuff. I'm willing to say that, and to everyone who's watching from Father Ryan, I regret that shit, and I regret a lot of the things I did in high school, and I'm a completely different person now. I'm sure that you guys know, and yeah, I'm glad that we're sitting here today, Griffin, and
seriously,
we're telling people what happened, and
I mean, I'm not gonna it's not all this guy. I mean, I know I had the annoying label in high school. I totally understand, but
I'm not gonna lie, you did, and you weren't annoying. You were, I've always thought you were very smart, and I think that you being so smart and you just willing to show that shit, I think people were like, what the fuck is this guy doing? I think that's probably what some people were thinking, and they were thinking this guy doesn't fit what Father Ryan should be about, and what Father Ryan is about fucking fitting in and being performative. I think that's a lot of the people who were in our class at Father Ryan, they were very performative. And
Are we allowed to drop the F-bomb on here?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great.
I'm not worried about monetization right now on YouTube. Eventually, I will be when I get a big enough platform. But yeah, I think people were fucking performative, and they weren't genuine with themselves, and they were always putting on this character, this show of, like, especially with the popular kids, they were always putting on this show of who they are and what they embody. And if they really did the soul searching within themselves, they would realize they've got a lot of looking to do. They've got a lot of discovering to do about themselves. And I was the same way. I didn't really know who I was.
Yeah.
So when I did that to you in high school, and when we kind of fell out like that, how did you feel during that time? Did you feel really betrayed?
I mean, yeah, obviously, but it was more like a self-reflection time, because that was like the third or fourth time where I had been like really close with a group of people, and then like I just like got ejected from the friend group. You know what I mean?
Did you really try to like play the victim card, or was that really not on your mind? Was it more of just like, I need to do some soul searching and figure out what I did wrong?
I mean, yeah, I was definitely like I have pretty good pattern recognition, and I was just like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why am I annoying, you know? Did
you change your actions or anything after that happened? Did you kind of adjust your behavior?
I was probably more quiet.
I was
probably quieter at school, yeah.
I definitely noticed that, and I do feel bad about that, because it definitely probably alienated you from everyone else at the school. And was there like anything that made you willing to forgive me when I reached back out to you, or like how did you feel when I reached back out to you?
I mean, I've always been like a forgiving person. I feel like maybe some people out there would disagree. I feel like that's just what I believe. Like, there's just not a point to like holding grudges or anything.
Yeah, are you big into giving people second chances and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not just gonna like forgive someone after like a month and like they're like the same person, but like you've literally like you are everything about your life and about you is like different. It's changed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And as someone who's been through multiple phases of life, and I've been multiple different people, I'll even say that I've been completely different persons in completely different points of my life, and having that perspective makes me agree with you. People can change, and you need to give someone a second chance, because the person that they were when they did something bad to you, they said this to you, they're not the same person that they are today, and hopefully they are. And I think that that's something that a lot of young men need to know, and a lot of people in general need to know, is just that like you can change so much, and you've changed so much, I've changed so much, and it's something that is really important. And like our whole feud and our whole story of having beef and then coming back together to film this episode, what do you think this is a testament to about like young men and ego and loyalty?
It's a testament that you can literally not be friends with someone for 0 reasons, and then I mean, you can always come back no matter what has happened.
I definitely agree. And you can get value. Like, I don't want to talk about getting value from everything, but having this sit down with you is incredibly valuable to me, because I'm going to have an episode from it. I'm going to get clips, like, as much as I don't want to talk about, like content farming, it's valuable to me, and I hope it's valuable to you. And, like, I think that a lot of young men need to know that rekindling relationships with people that have wronged you or that you've wronged, it can be a good thing. It can be a very good thing, because it gives you a different perspective, and it shows you that people can change, and it's very, very rewarding coming back to someone that that knew you at a different point in time. It's been very rewarding for me to talk to you.
I was gonna say it's literally like a window into like, this person remembers who you were at this time, and you can like kind of, through that person, no matter who they are, what they've done to you, or no matter what's happened, you can always like reflect on your past version of yourself, or what you like did in certain scenarios.
100%. I didn't think about that. It's kind of like a mirror. Like, you coming back and seeing you, it brings back all the memories of what I did and who I was, and being able to have that metacognition and introspective idea of who I was back then, simply just by seeing you, remembering what we did. It's allowed me to gain insight that I never would have gotten if we wouldn't have sat down today.
That's probably the most valuable part about rekindling things with people.
Do you feel like you've reflected on the moments you had with me, and like, have you thought about that during this interview?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I hope that this has been just as valuable as it's been to me. But let's get into some more deep questions about identity and values. And I don't know if you think about this a lot. I definitely think about identity a lot, and that's just because I've been many people in the past. I was a completely different person than I was when I met my girlfriend, the person I'm gonna be with for the rest of my life. And I want to ask you, who do you think you're becoming in the next like 5 to 10 years? And you think you're gonna be the same person, or how's that gonna go?
I want to be like more open to just like everything. I feel like I kind of have my interests and I have like people that I'm friends with, and I feel like I have stuff going for me. But I really like, I take a lot of value to people like my neighbor Thomas, who no matter like how he grew up or what he's into, he's up for anything any day of the week. And I just want to be more like exploratory like that. Mm-hmm. But in like the next 5 to 10 years, I want to be someone. I don't want to like be stuck in like a career 9 to 5. I know everyone says that, no one wants that, but that's what people have to do. But I really want to own something where I can continuously collaborate with other people or other businesses, and I can take charge and like making changes no matter in what small of a community we have.
You say you want to collaborate with people, and that's awesome. Are you motivated to do that by money and fame or anything, or is that more of a philanthropy value? Do you want to help people, or do you want to like make a lot of money?
It's entirely money. I just want money. I'm just kidding.
I know that was kind of a bad question to put on you.
No, I mean, yeah, it's like.
Is it a mix of both?
I mean, like it's like how Nissan. I don't know if you know like Rouge Performance. Like they do. Like just like race teams, like how Ford Mustang had the Shelby Cobra race team, and they collaborated together and they made something that neither one of them could have done alone. That's like the type of stuff that I want to do.
Do you want to like change the world by collaborating with people? And do you think it's like possible to change the world just by yourself, or do you think you need other people?
I do want to change the world, but that is not something anyone can do alone. Like,
yeah, I agree with
it's
that.
far-fetched to say you want to change the world in the first place, but to do it alone, you don't even have a shot, bro.
You want to change the world, and I want to ask you a big question. What is the biggest ambition you have? Like, what's the biggest idea that you've had in mind? It can be with 615 Parking. It can be with your engineering degree.
So, I started Griffin Ventures. So, like, you know, the name Griffin, it's like a play on my name. Like, so Griffin Ventures, or like GVG, it's like Griffin Ventures Group. It's just everything that I want to start. And that umbrella term is going to be like 615 Parking is an LLC under that. It's owned by Griffin Ventures. But my biggest ambition has been to, there are people in 615 Parking who know this, like who just come to our meets because I've mentioned it before. My biggest dream with like right now with the stuff that I have would be using all of my college experience, all of my engineering stuff, like all of my Japanese like double major, whatever. If I could turn 615 Parking into something where we start producing parts, producing kits for cars, or like even if we started importing cars from Japan and doing like artwork with like different stuff, like I would love to be able to turn 615 Parking into something that not only like makes a profit, but that is like way more than just a car community.
That's incredibly specific and articulate. Yeah. I'm so happy that you were able to say that and, you know, get that out to our audience. Did that vision come to you over time, or was there just a single moment you were at a car meet and you were like, I want to start importing cars from Japan and start doing all this stuff and making car parts? Was there a single moment, or did that vision come over time?
I mean, I've always been into math and science and stuff. It's just like came natural to me. So I knew I was going into like architecture or engineering or physics or something like that. And like over the past 3 years, starting all this car stuff, all this automotive interest, like I've just been like constantly like it keeps me up at night. Like, how is this going to tie into anything I'm going to do in the future? This
is a perfect segue to what we're going to talk about next, and that's that we both have massive amounts of ambition. Like, do you feel like that's unhealthy sometimes? Do you feel like you put yourself to a super high standard because of your ambition?
It can be ruthless at points. It can be horrible for you.
It's horrible for me too sometimes. You know, I am always thinking about what's the next move for me? Who's the next client for Honky Tonk Pressure Washing? What's the next video that's going to come out on my personal brand platform? And it eats at you a lot. Like, you'll be in the middle of something, like I'll be washing my baby's bottles, and I'll be thinking about, I gotta post this on Honky Tonk Pressure Washing. Do you have moments like that?
Yeah, I mean, every day. Yeah.
How do you like kindle that ambition and not let it erupt into a flame of just urgency and I have to do this now and anxiety? How do you not let that ambition erupt into something like that?
That's thanks to my mom, because we started this thing like a long time ago. We did like these monthly like packages that we would send to people, and this is when I was like 11, 12 years old. My first business was called Smiley Mail, and it was like, it was SMEILE, like a play on my last name, right?
Yeah.
And my mom was like, she was an independent sales consultant, like one of the biggest for 31 Gifts for like so many years. And so she worked from home. She had everything, all her, like her whole business is like right on her phone, right on her computer. And I was really starting to like, Mom, we need to start this, or I want to do this. And she's like constantly pressing back on, if you're going to do this, then wait, like just let the idea marinate, just like let it just sit there. And the longer you let it sit there with like the ambition that you have, the more like when you actually get to that point, you're going to have more concrete ambition.
That's awesome that you talked about that, because when I had this idea for the People's Table, I came up with it in the middle of a shower. And you know, before I came up with the People's Table, I was thinking like, I gotta start doing something with my personal brand. You know, I've got my business brand, but I want to put myself out there in a way. And you know, I didn't act on it. And then my ambition kept telling me like, you need to act on this. You need to post a video of you saying some motivational shit right now. But
because you're like, I'm gonna lose the idea. Like I need to do this now.
Exactly. I was like, I need to do this now, or else I'm gonna lose momentum. I'm gonna lose the vision. But then, you know, I'm glad that I didn't immediately start saying some motivational shit on my TikTok or my Instagram, because I got the idea for the People's Table, and I think that this is really going to give me some structure and allow my personal brand to succeed. And I think your story about your mom saying like, if you have ambition, let it sit and let yourself think about it. You don't have to act immediately on things. I think that for people with as much ambition as we have, that's something that, you know, we struggle with, is just executing immediately. Like it's important sometimes to let things sit, let ideas sit. And, you know, this segues perfectly into what I want to talk about next, which is, how do you relax? Like, what do you spend time doing recreationally? Do you spend time with your parents? Do you spend time with your friends? What do you do to, like, relax?
It's awesome that I have a car meet page, because I can just go do a photo shoot or something. Like, honestly, taking photos for people, like, I'll do it for free. It's really relaxing. Like, it's awesome to have a business with something that you like. You know what I mean?
Like, does it feel like you're never working?
I mean, 615 Parking, like, we have broken even. It's not like a business. We're not like making money. We've broken even on merch. But like at the same time, we're not paying thousands of dollars of insurance. We're not paying for event permits. We're not paying by location. It's like we message gas stations or random businesses like, hey, you have a product you need to sell. You have food you need to sell. We have 500 feet that can step on your property at like an Instagram stories post, you know?
I think that it's important also to, like, it's great that you have that 615 Parking to make it feel like you're not working a lot and you're relaxing while doing those photo shoots and stuff like that. That's awesome. I think that for me, it's important for me to stay grounded in my family. And, you know, I don't know what your relationships are with your family and your friends and the people who are close to you. I think that staying grounded in those people and just talking to them all the time and having conversations that aren't about money, momentum, business, stuff like that, having conversations with, you know, my girlfriend and being with my son and stuff like that, it really helps me think about the bigger picture that I'm going for, which is just having a family. That's my ultimate goal, and inspiring young men to live great lives.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. You just have to have people around you in whatever aspect, like whatever interests you have, you need to have like a friend group in that.
Definitely. And, you know, to the audience that's watching right now, you know, I would invite you to reflect on just who you are and the people who are around you. And, you know, like, I'm not saying cut someone off immediately. Just, you know, think about who you want to be. And, you know, do the people that you're hanging out with right now, do they match who you want to be? And just reflect on that. I think we're getting to the end of the interview, Griffin. And, you know, I want to ask you some questions just about, like, what motivates you and stuff like that. And like, entrepreneurship and just how all of that pertains to your life. And the first question I want to ask you is just like, if you could be stripped down to one sentence that motivates, like one thing that motivates you, what would be the number one thing that motivates you? Is it, and you can say whatever you want. If it is money, then you can say money. If you want to say like fame, you can say fame. And I know that's not the case, but like, if there's one thing that motivates you, what would it be?
I'm gonna be Dom Toretto. Family.
Dom Toretto. You know, that's interesting, because like, I think that being motivated out of self-interest isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to want to be the richest person in the world. It's just, I invite you, if you are that way, like, be the same person to people. If you do reach the stage where you're super rich and stuff like that, treat people the same, and just be nice to everyone regardless of how much money you have or what your motivation is to be successful. A lot of young men in our generation are just out posting their BMW M4 comp on their page and flexing how successful they are. And I would invite you to reflect on, like, does that really make you happy? Does that like gratification from others, if that's making you happy, like, how long is that going to last for you? How long is it going to last to seeing those likes on people, those likes from people seeing your BMW? Like, that's how I used to be. Before I started honky tonk pressure washing and had a family, I was really motivated by self-interest. I was like, I'm going to be the richest person. I'm going to have a BMW at 19. I'm going to own a house at 20 or some shit, something stupid like that. And, that motivation was off and on for me a lot. One day I was doing everything and doing all my homework, and the other day I was, just sitting down playing video games. And I think that's something that a lot of young men struggle with motivation, is they're motivated by self-interest, and that's not long-term. But was that ever that way for you? Were you motivated by self-interest a lot?
I mean, I'll just elaborate on, like, my answer of family. Like, I feel like it's entirely in my self-interest. Like, I want, by family, I mean, I don't want my kids, my wife, whoever it may be, my grandchildren, to ever have to worry about anything financial. So that may be motivated by self-interest or by money, but that's, like, the main goal. That's what I mean by family. Like, I don't want them to have to worry about that type of stuff.
You want to, like, take care of the people that you love.
Basically just, like, provide, I guess. But
that's awesome that you have that provider mentality, and you're not attached to anyone or anything, and you already have that mentality. I think that anyone who would want to spend the rest of their life with you would be super lucky to have someone that has that mentality. There's a lot of people
Appreciate
no problem. A lot of people nowadays don't have that mentality. I think that society has become very individual focused. It's so easy to stay inside and smoke weed and play video games and just think about yourself. And I think a lot of the reason that people are doing that is just because they think the economy sucks, the world's ending, and I'm just going to enjoy myself with the time I have left. I used to think like that. And it's important to know that you can't control that shit. I can't control what Trump does tomorrow, or what happens in Venezuela tomorrow. I can't control that. What matters is I'm going to work hard today, and I'm going to live this day to the fullest, because it might be the last one I have left. It might not be. Most likely it won't be. And I really, and I'll talk about this in future episodes, I really think that young men in society nowadays, they're very individual focused. They're focused on themselves. How can I maximize my pleasure? And do you have any comments about that? I
mean, it's just true. It's just a true statement, yeah.
Have you met anyone that's really like that, where they're just like, I'm just going to go out and party and, like, enjoy myself and not worry about anyone else?
I knew 3 people who dropped out after the first semester of college, yeah.
3 people? Wow. I feel like when people go to college and they don't know who they are and they're just looking to party and stuff, that's what happens. They fail out, they drop out, and they have to do soul searching there, and that's after a very big mistake, which getting kicked out of college, or like dropping out from college, that's definitely not something you would want to do. And people have to pay the price for their lack of identity closure, just with detrimental things like that, like either dropping out of college, failing out of college, stuff like that.
I mean, we can talk about that too. Like, it's a huge assumption nowadays that, like, you go to middle school, you go to high school, you go to college, and, like, that's what you do. Like, everyone assumes, I need to go to college. Like, that's the standard. But I don't think that it has to be like it's not a rite of passage for people. There's a lot of people that go and they're just doing what you're saying. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think mentioning a rite of passage is important, because I think people are thinking it has to go this way. Like, I have to transcend into adulthood.
They have their own plan.
Yeah, right. Something like that. They have to get to adulthood by going to college or something like that. But that's natural to think, because when you're in high school, you have structure.
You can make plans like that. You can plan everything out. You know what's coming.
Right. Yeah. You have structure. You go to class, study for this test, come home, and you eat dinner with your family, or you go play baseball with the baseball team you go to school with. And there's a lot of structure. And then as soon as you get out of that, it's hard. It's hard to be like, what's really going to happen? How am I going to become an adult? And, like,
especially with a school, like a private school, that has so much structure that you don't even, like, for me, I had never been to public school. So going, not necessarily like that college is like a public middle school or high school, but a public university, it's very, very different when you have all that structure removed.
That's a lot of the reason why people go hog wild when they get into college. They got no parents telling them what to do. They might have they're on their parents' money or something like that, and they're just, you know, they got no structure and they're just like, let's do whatever the fuck I want to do.
Yeah.
Especially coming from, you know, my parents are very strict in high school, and when I got, you know, my freedom and I was going to community college and stuff, I didn't go crazy, but like I was able to do what I want. You know, like I hung out with my girlfriend a lot, and you know, I worked a lot. I worked at a lot of Tzatziki's, but I definitely had, you know, the days where I would go out with JC and, you know, we would go to one of her friends' house and we would, you know, just, you know, party and stuff. And that's normal. And it's normal to do that. It's not normal and it's not okay to disregard everything about your life after having that freedom. Just completely disregard what your parents have done for you, the people that have gotten you to the place where you're at. It's not okay to completely disregard that and be like, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. That's not okay.
Yeah, because a lot of people are just like, yeah, it's my body, my choice, my decisions, whatever, but they don't realize what everyone around you has invested into you.
Exactly. Yeah, your parents have spent years, you know, changing your diaper when you were a newborn, and then, you know, teaching you morals and ethics, hopefully, you know, when you were a teenager and stuff like that. People have
Shout out Brent Fernandez.
Exactly. And people have invested in you. And then when you just go and tarnish that all by becoming a degenerate and doing sports betting and fucking like drinking every night, just think about the person you are then, and think about like when I was a baby and my parents were changing my diaper, is that the person that they wanted me to be? And just ask yourself that. And I'm not telling anyone change your life right now. The main reason I want to do this show is just to have people reflect. I want people to reflect on their lives.
Like get people thinking.
Yes. I want people to I want to get people thinking. And for future episodes, guys, this can be about anything. I'm willing to talk about anything from philosophy to politics to just how you felt when you were working at Publix or something, when you were working your first part-time job. You know, I'm willing to talk about that stuff, and I just want to get deeper into that, and I want to extract meaning from it. Like we extracted meaning from how you felt doing 615 parking, how you felt when we had our feud and our fallout. That's the goal of these episodes, is just to extract meaning from life events, talk about it, and come up with some philosophical thesis about it. Is there anything else you would like to talk about today, Griffin?
No, dude. I mean, I've loved being on this show. I love talking to you. It's really good to talk to you again, man.
It was really good to be with you today, Griffin. I'm so glad you were able to come on here. And to everyone who was watching this, I hope you really enjoyed this episode. I was looking forward to this so much. I was so excited when you said yes to coming on here, because I knew it would be super interesting. You know, we used to have a big feud, and now we're here talking at this table. And anyone who wants to be on, please shoot me a DM, and we'll get you on. And you can come over, and we can sit here. And Griffin, it was great to have you on today. And
thank you, Jack.
Thank you so much.